All right, here we are with the third Mishnah of the second parak of second chapter of Mesechet Kinim. This is a Mishnah that looks a little bit frightening the first time that you see it. I promise you it's really much easier than your first impression. And there's a very, as in all of the Mishnahs, there's a very interesting twist at the end. The structure of Mishnah seems to be, except where the Mishnah has been broken up into two, that the first half of the Mishnah gives you things which Chazal expects you to be able to do out of the ordinary reasoning of what you've understood up until now in the Mesechet. And the second half of the Mishnah gives you an addition which Chazal is now trying to show you something that they've seen which you probably have not seen. And so let's look at the Mishnah. The Mishnah says, L'zu echad, l'zu shnayim, l'zu shalosh, l'zu arba, l'zu chamesh, l'zu sheish, l'zu sheva. I have 7 different women. The first woman has 1 pair of birds. The second woman has 2 pairs of birds, which is 4 birds in a box. Third woman has 3 pairs of birds. Fourth woman has 4 pairs of birds. Fifth woman 5 pairs of birds. Sixth woman 6 pairs of birds. Seventh woman 7 pairs of birds. Parach min harishon l'shniya, l'shlishit, l'ravit, l'chamishit, l'shishit, l'shviit. Chazar, let's look at it. Okay, so let's see how it works. We have group 1, group 2, group 3, group 4, 5, 6, and 7. In these groups, those are the group names. We first woman, second woman, third woman, fourth woman, fifth woman, sixth woman, seventh woman. We have 2 birds, 4 birds, 6 birds, 8 birds, 10 birds, 12 birds, and 14 birds. Now then, something flies from the first group to the second, second to the third, third to the fourth, fourth to the fifth, fifth to the sixth, fifth to the seventh. We had a rule. When something flies out of a group, you subtract 1 from the group it flew out of, and you subtract 1 from the group it flew into. So here, something flew out, but here something flew in and something flew out. So this is minus 1, minus 2, minus 2, minus 2, minus 2, minus 2, minus 1. Why? Something flew in here, minus 1. Here something flew in and something flew out, minus 2. Now, let's say they fly back. So again, the end groups, minus 1 and minus 1. The middle groups, minus 2, minus 2, minus 2, minus 2, and minus 2. The results in the first group, 0. In the second group, minus 2 and minus 2, 0. In the third group, 2 birds. In the fourth group, 4 birds. In the fifth group, 6 birds. In the sixth group, 8 birds. In the seventh group, 12 birds. End groups have minus 1 twice. All the middle groups have minus 2 twice. That's how you get to these numbers. And this is what the Mishnah tells us. The Mishnah says, Chazar posel echad b'chalikatzo v'echad b'chaziraso harishon v'hashenit ein lehem klum. In the first and the second there are none. Hashlishit yesh la echad. In the third one is 1 pair. Haravit yesh la shnayim. In the fourth one is 2 pairs. Hachamishit yesh la shalosh. Hashishit yesh la arba. V'hachamishit yesh la sheish. Okay. 1 pair, 2 pairs, 3 pairs, 4 pairs, and 6 pairs. Now it says, Parach v'chazar. So again, the same thing happens, and it's from here. Goes 1 bird over, comes 1 bird back, same bird or a different bird. End groups, minus 2, minus 2. Middle groups, minus 4, minus 4, minus 4. Net result, 0, 0, 2, 4, 10. Doing it right? Yes, this is what the Mishnah intends. This is what the Mishnah says. Hashlishit v'haravi'it in the third and fourth group. Ein lehem klum, nothing left. Hachamishit yesh le'echad. Fifth group has 1 pair. Hashishit yesh le'shnayim. Sixth group has 2 pair. Hashvi'it yesh le'chamesh. Seventh group has 5 pair. Okay? Now comes the trick that the Mishnah has been leading you into, which is why we're doing this, because all of this you could have done by yourself. And it says, parach v'chazar, happens again. Something goes over and something goes back. Now, you would say, n group, minus 2, minus 2. Middle group, minus 4. N group, minus 2. The result should be 0, 0, 8. Right? That's what comes out. And it says, Hamishit Parach v'chazar posel echad b'chalik chaso b'echad b'chatzirotza. Use the rule of canceling one that when it goes out and one when it goes in. Hachamishit v'chashishit ein lehem klum. In the fifth group and sixth group there are none left. Hashvit yesh la'arba. And in the seventh group there are 4, which is 8 birds. Okay. Now comes the trick. V'yesh omrim, and there's another opinion. Another opinion in arithmetic. What do you mean another opinion? V'yesh omrim hashvit lo ifsida klum, that the seventh group has not lost any birds whatsoever. Now, there are 2 different opinions in the Meforshim. What that phrase means. One opinion in the Meforshim is that this is not a rule that you apply, because the rule of canceling one on each side is when you're between kravas and kravas. One's you're going to use and one's you're going to use. But here I'm not using any. So that rule doesn't apply. So maybe I should say, stay at 10. Maybe lo yifsid klum, that's the lo yifsid. I haven't lost any there. The other opinion in the Meforshim is, lo yifsid klum, wow, 14 birds. I can use all of them. Okay, why? What's their reasoning? Their reasoning is very cute. How many birds from the first pair could have wound up in the seventh? Well, the first pair was only in the first flyover. So the worst case of what happened in the first pair is only one bird could have wound up in the seventh group, and then something else goes back. Since the mate, the other one in the first group, never is going to be used, I have no restriction on that first bird that could have wound up there. How many birds from the second group could have wound up in the seventh group? Well, the second group was only in one flyover, so only one of those 4 birds could have wound up in the seventh group. All of the other ones are never going to be used, no restriction. If I use it as a chatas or nova, no problem. The third group was only in 2 flyovers, so only 2 birds from these 6 birds could have wound up in the seventh. If they're both chatases or both olas or one chatas and one ola, I have no restrictions on them. From the fourth group, only 2 birds could have wound up in the seventh. I have no restrictions on them because the other 6 birds aren't being used. In the fifth group, only 3 birds could have wound up in the seventh, and I have no restrictions on them. In the sixth group, only 3 birds could have wound up in the seventh. So I have, even if whatever combination I have birds in the seventh, if I use all 14, 7 chatases and 7 ola, no problem. The only problem I might have is because I said that they were pasul and now they're going to be kosher. What's going on? However, the halacha does not go according to the yesh omrim. This is very, very, very surprising at first, because we have been led to understand that halacha is trying to help us do the best that we can in every situation after we've avoided the worst case events. And here it would seem that 14 or even 10 is much better than 8. Okay? Now comes the explanation, which I have not found anyone who has said, the explanation which I understand as to why the halacha goes according to the opinion that says use 8. In other words, the explanation as to why 8 is more than 10 or 14. As strange as that sounds, but it won't be strange in a moment. V'yesh omrim hashvit lo ifsida klum, ve'im parach biben hametot kulam hare kulam yamutu. The Mishnah adds these words, and if there will fly over from a group of birds which has been left to die, the kulam, into another group, Hare kulam yamutu, they're all left to die. Which means the Mishnah all of a sudden gives us a strange case. I've got a group of birds here, which are all being left to die, and I have a group here, which are all okay. And if anything flies from that group into this group, then I can't use any of them, because that group, I don't know if they're chatas or olif. That's already a group that's puzzle, and therefore one of these is puzzle, and everything's puzzle. So what's happened to us? This little piece of explanation is the explanation, not of the Eshomrim, but it's the explanation of the halacha, why 14 and 10 is actually less than 8. Because, going back to the previous Mishnah, if I would now mix all of these birds together into one big set of 28 pairs of birds, and I say, how many can I use? Well, we had the case of mixing where they're not equal, and we said hamuat, the smaller group is kosher. So if, at the end, if we say here we can use 8, and then another step happens and they all get mixed together, I can for sure use one pair of birds. One is a chatas and one is an ola, because the worst it could be is both of those birds are from the first group and I haven't violated any condition. However, according to this last piece of the Mishnah that says that if I said, in order to use 14 or 10, that all of these birds, that I don't have to use this rule because all of these birds are being left to die, and then one of these birds gets mixed in with that 8, I'm left with 0. In other words, the halacha says that the worst case includes a look ahead as to what might happen. And this Mishnah doesn't take you to the worst case. It takes you down to the case where they say here, this is the halacha, and this is the case where even though there's an opinion, that's not what we do. Okay? So 14 and 10 looks like it's a better choice. It looks like we're going to use more. But if you take it one step further to the worst case, they leave us with 0. And if you take the case of the Tanakama, the Mishnah, it says reduce from 10 to 8, 8 birds. If that goes to the worst case scenario, I can still use 2. So 8 birds going to the worst case lets me use 2 birds. 8 pairs lets me use 1 pair. Lets me use 2 birds. And 14 or 10 birds lets me use no birds. So 14 and 10 in the worst case lead me to less than 8 would lead me. And that's why the halacha is 8. That concludes the Mishnah Gimel of Perek Bet.